Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another class of Entrepreneurship Education Program, the EEP program. Module 1, Course 1, Module 3, which has to do with creativity and intellectual property rights. Well, basically this model is talking about what is creativity, how can you create an idea, how do you improve it, how do you make it into product, and then talks about the other part talks about the legal aspect, which has to do with the intellectual property right. That means those rights or those laws or regulation protecting those invention. For example, if somebody initiated a new medicine or cure for something, and that cure or that solution to the problem are protected by law. So the intellectual property rights is covered by law. So the law, there are different types of laws: copyright, trademark, and patent, that protects such creativity. But I'll be taking the first part of it, in which deals with the creativity aspect. So in this discussion, we're going to see what creativity is, what is the creativity process, what is the nature of creative individuals, what are those negative attitudes that prevent people from being creative or innovative in a way, and then we'll look at type of creative work and the effort. So basically creativity is all about the creation of the mind, and we'll discuss the steps involved in creativity. We looked at creative thinking and critical thinking and whatnot. So do follow and listen, and as always, you can see my name on the screen. I'm to facilitate this part of the module, because it's not the entire module. So the introduction, we said, as the world changes, this world is changing every day. New products are introduced, new companies, new customer needs arose, new technology are developed, new government policies are enacted, new business tricks are discovered, and new competitors are emerging every day. So if you're living in this type of world, the only weapon that businesses have in their mind, or entrepreneurs have, is to be creative. Your ability to create will help you to maneuver the new products and redevelop your own in order to compete with them. It will allow you to identify such needs of customers that you'll be able to meet up, because customers' taste is changing every day, and therefore companies are changing every day. When you look at mobile technology like mobile phones, and you can see every day they are coming up with new ones. Technology is changing. Before, we use Bluetooth, infrared to transfer digital document, but now we're using Bluetooth, and it's gone beyond Bluetooth, and now we're using Sender. And the phones before were BlackBerry was the major in the market, but now today Android technology, and those Androids belongs to some wonderful companies, but now almost every mobile phone company is gone into Android. So, and that's to tell you the customer needs are changing, and so smartphones are everywhere, and customer needs are changing. Nobody want to buy ordinary phone that is not smart. So even the phones with the button keyboard, like our normal laptop, now they have cameras, they have internet facility that you can browse with them, and they have a bigger screen, color screen. Yes. So new technologies, it's a match. So new government policies are enacted. Government are changing regulations. Changing regulations, improving them, integrating them, and bringing new laws into existence. So so new risks are discovered. You are in business, and now traveling is very risky. And how would you manipulate? And that's why people are switching to online, marketing and sales. So you can buy things and they just dispatch. People coming from Lagos to buy things in Kano because of the risk involved on the highway. So they have to find means of survival. And of course, new competitors in the market. We've seen new competition emerging in in the beverage companies, where Coca-Cola came in and it has awoken Pepsi, Cola and Coca-Cola everywhere. We've seen them advertising and reversing their prices back because of competition. So no matter what you do in business, there are competitors. So because they emerge, it doesn't mean that you have to close shop. So what you need to do is to recreate your business in order to maintain presence in the marketplace. So it does become imperative for business organization to be creative and innovative, or die. So if you either be creative or innovative, and or you die, because the companies that don't innovate, they are no more in existence. Take for example this company Crush. Take for example Starcoms. Take for example Visa Phone, Realtel, Zoom, and the rest of them. They are no more in the market because they've been taken over by event. So I wouldn't want to say because they are not innovative, but this is the world of business. So you either operate as it follow the trend, or you be left behind. So that brings us to the concept of creativity. So what is creativity? Creativity involves the ability to bring into existence new things, ideas, products, and process through imaginative skills. So the ability to bring something into existence, something new, meaning that your ability to introduce new products, your ability to bring new service, your ability to bring new features, your ability to bring new process of doing something is creativity. Is creativity. But then it says through imaginative skills. So what is imaginative skills? Of course, for every product you send in this world, somebody must have imagined it. Either while driving or in a shower, you could imagine something. How could something be done? Imagine, for example, aeroplane. Somebody must have sat down and conceived that, why can't I build a machine that can carry 700 people and take them off on the air? And out of that imagination, he started thinking, and he was able to come up with this concept. And then so imaginative skills is your ability to sit down and imagine and see reasons and the need for certain things to come to life. So that's imagination. Sometimes I know amongst you, some people used to imagine that I'm the governor. So when you imagine that if I'm the governor, things will happen. Things wouldn't happen the way they're happening now. And sometimes you imagine that you're the vice chancellor of a university. Sometimes you imagine you're the lecturer. But then it doesn't stop there. So creativity is your ability to bring out of this imagination and then produce something. So in the slide you see creative thinking. So is that art of generating solution to problem by the force of imagination and reasoning. So creative thinking is the art of generating solution to problems by the force of imagination and reasoning. So that guy that I was saying, for example, who invented aeroplane, he must have imagined that he can develop something to fly. But then that's imagination. But imagination alone doesn't bring product into life, or it doesn't bring solution into life. What brings solution into life is combining that imagination and reasoning. And what is the reasoning part of it? The reasoning part of it is your ability to pinpoint the feasibility or the workability of that imagination. Is it feasible? If you could remember when we were kids, we used to assume that Superman used to fly. I could remember. And then we used to go to uncompleted buildings, and then we climb it, and then we tie our mother's wrapper on the neck and assume that we can fly. And by the time you jump and you fall down, you have a broken leg, and then you understand that Superman or flying requires more than just wearing suit and just hiding, climbing height and then jumping. It's far, far beyond that. And that's the reasoning. So it's not every imagination that will come through to a product or business. But you have to put reasoning. So the reasoning is to calculate whether the possibility of it working or not working. And that's when you are putting reasoning into it. So you can imagine you are a president, but then when the reason comes, then you understand that it takes you longer years to become president. It requires a lot of energy and resources and investment before you become president or governor. So those imagination, nobody could stop you from imagining. But when you combine reasoning, then you begin to know whether this idea or this process could come true or not. So Superman, the example of Superman and Kit, we used to assume that somebody is Superman. And then when you climb and jump and you break your leg, then you realize that Superman you see on TV. It's gone just beyond imagination. A lot of us happen before he becomes the Superman that we see. So meaning the building of the story, the fictional part of it, the cameras, even the dress and the rest of it. Yeah. So it is an activity of the mind seeking to find answers to some of life problems. So creative thinking is an activity of the mind seeking to find answers to some of life's problems. So imaginative skills. You can see from the diagram, problem, and then thinking, and then solution. So the problem exists, and there are always problems. And then the thinking will enable you to be creative. So when you have a problem, for example, in your community, they having this issue of lack of pharmaceutical store or hospital, and people are having problems in the community, and now your son or your brother is sick, and you're looking for where to take him to hospital. Very difficult. And then you sit down and start thinking, how do we solve this problem of lack of pharmaceutical store or hospital in our community? And that's the thinking process. And by the time you begin to think, okay, we should rent a shop, we should invite an investor to come and open clinic, we should talk to another company clinic to come and open, or we should go to Sabangare and start buying those drugs and start selling them ourselves to make money. So that's the thinking process. So no matter what solution you see, it has gone from problem to thinking, and then when you think and put reason into those imaginations, and then it comes a solution, that is a product or as a process. So every product you can see in this world is passed through these stages, from problem and then the thinking, and under that thinking, the imaginative skills, the imagination and the reasoning will all put together, process them before you arrive at solution. So a human brain is just like a computer. At times people say it processes information faster than the computer. It's the fastest processor in this world. So you can think within a few seconds and reply. Somebody could just speak to you, but before you reply to him, it has processed longer in your brain, and then you give him output as feedback. Yes. So process of creativity. So it starts from an imagination. Like I said earlier, imagination, use of imaginative skills. Some people, you think of a problem and you used to assume that I can develop something that will drive from here. You just enter one lift under the ground to take you to all campus or to take you to town. Imagination. And sometimes when you're driving, you used to imagine that I can just make a car that doesn't require fuel, that doesn't require water, that doesn't require the car will just be walking. Imagination. And so out of this imagination, for every problem, people used to imagine of the solutions. For every idea you see in this world, it has gone through imagination. People have imagined, but then it didn't just stop at the imaginative skills, but it continued with reasoning. So the reasoning will tell you how to do it, what do you need to get to make it work. You have to start researching and finding answers to some of the questions that you'll be able to raise, and then you try to process those ideas, and that's reasoning, trying to see the workability of that idea. Is it feasible? Can it work, or it will fail? So all this fall under reasoning. And then after reasoning, and you begin to try, okay, since this is what I felt it should work, and then trial. I could remember just last few years, somebody invented an aeroplane that would be using solar energy. And they took a trial test of flying that aeroplane from countries to countries. It came to Africa, but I cannot remember exactly which country. That is trial or testing. So whatever machine or idea somebody developed, before he takes it to the market, and then he has to test it to see whether it will run, developing a prototype, if it is engineering. If it is a product, you have to try it and then testing it. And then like even Zobo drink, even pure water, you want to start selling, you have to try and run the machines, try to see how the sealing process is, whether it works, try to break it, smash it on the floor to see the strength of the sealing. All these are trial and testing. And sometimes, I could remember during one of the governors in Kano, this company that invented malaria, is it malaria or polio vaccine, and they tried on some people. And those people, the trial test does not scale through because it shows some sign of infection, and the impact was very negative, and in such a way that they had to claim for damages from the company. It was on the news then, and it was everywhere that the government claimed for some millions of naira, hundreds of millions, and the company has to pay for that. So trial or testing, whatever reasoning, out of the reasoning, then you have to try and test before final production into idea. So the final production is you put it in a document, you develop it into a process, you develop it into a product in order to take the product into the market. So the final production into idea, process or product is after the imagination, after the reasoning, and then trial or testing, and then final production into idea, product or process. So imagination from imagination, imagine from imagination. So all those artists that used to see a painting, some of the paintings they never existed in anywhere, but they would sit down and be imagining they are drawing somebody, pointed nose, short nose, big ears, big head, long nose, long mouth, bulging eyes, and whatnot. So all this are imagination. So artists used to imagine. So the same thing business people do. So you have to start from imagining that you are bringing a solution to this problem, and therefore after the imagination, into reasoning, and then. So we're moving to aspect of creativity. So creativity, some of the aspects: one, process. First one is process, product, person, and place. So it's saying that whatever is created in this world, it has passed through certain process. So process, a cognitive approach describing thought, mechanism, and techniques for creative thinking. So that process, whatever it happens, either it comes as a product or process, this thing it shows it has followed under a process. And then product, measure the creativity and the ability to produce more. So whatever is produced, either it comes in the product or service. So it measures the creativity and the ability to produce more. So person is considered intellectual habits. So that individual, whatever you've seen in this world, it is somebody that produces it, or it's somebody that created it. So that person considered intellectual habits such as openness, autonomy, expertise, exploratory behavior, etc. So place considers the circumstances in which creativity flourishes, such as degrees of autonomy, access to resources, and the nature of gatekeepers. So whatever is produced and that's why sometimes we see made in China, so whatever is produced, it has a source coming from a particular place. So that creative work is taking place in a particular place, and that place is surrounded by the support, such as degrees of autonomy. How are you allowed to operate? Access to resources, will you be able to access fund? Will that environment? So when we look at China and Japan and India, the people have the environment there, creativity flourish very well in China, for example, because the enabling environment is there. Kids are supported right from primary school and up to secondary school. So what are the characteristics of creative personalities? So it is said that creative individuals have a great deal of energy, but they are also often quiet and at rest. They have a lot of energy. Somebody who is creative, always looking for answers, very curious, very active, doesn't get tired, push. So the next point is they tend to be very smart, yet naive at the same time. They look smart sometimes if they look at situation as if they don't understand it, and that's what the naive aspect comes in. They tend to be very smart, very, very smart. Creative individuals, they listen, they watch, they observe from a distance, and they strike. So they are naive. So creative individuals, they have they have a combination of playfulness and discipline, or responsibility and irresponsibility. Sometimes they don't do things, so they don't take things serious, they're playful. For example, in your class, some of the best students and who they are very smart, they don't go to class. During lectures, they used to play. Anyway, they tend to follow two ways. They don't have a clear direction. You're going to see them sometimes they look smart, they are responsible, sometimes they are irresponsible in a way. So creative individuals, they are talented between imagination and fantasy on the one end, and rooted sense of reality at the other. They have opposite tendencies between extroversion and introversion. Some of them they are open-minded, they speak openly, but while some of them they are introvert, they don't talk to people. They don't talk, they used to be quiet. So they play in between. The situation can make them to be introvert, and situation can make them to be extrovert. So they are humble and at the same time proud. Some of those creative individuals, they are idealists in the sense that they want their idea to always surface. They dominate. So they are humble, they tolerate, they are nice, and at the same time proud. Sometimes they used to feel whatever is done, it's not as good as what they can do. So they used to feel proud. They are taught to be rebellious and independent. They are rebels. They reject whatever the status quo, they challenge status quo in most cases. All those creative individuals, they used to challenge status quo so that they could be independent. They are very passionate about their work, yet extremely objective about it as well. They are passionate about what they do, but then they accept corrections, they accept input from people. So their openness and sensitivity exposes them to pains and suffering. So creative individuals, because they are open, because they are sensitive to issues, because they look critical into every subject matter, everything that happens, they focus, they pay more attention, and then they suffer more. Because they wouldn't want to see failure, because they always want to bring solution to the market, and therefore they expose themselves to pains and suffering. Yeah. What's the difference between critical thinking and creative thinking? So critical thinking is done in a formal education. For example, right from kids, we know that in mathematics, there's a formula to solve this problem. X is equals to y, find blah blah, and the rest of it. And therefore, it's in an education norm that students don't come to class before teacher. This is known. You cannot go to level 3 without passing examination. This is unknown rules, and that's critical thinking. And student how to solve a particular problem using single answer. That's critical thinking. Right from childhood, we're told that, for example, if somebody sends you on errand, you shouldn't collect any token. For example, somebody sends you on errand to buy something, and when you return, they used to give people, kids money. And when you go home, for example, our mothers used to warn us that should anybody send you, don't collect anything from him. Don't collect anything from him. But because, that's critical thinking. So if, for example, that kid is sent, instead of him to collect money, he says to his lecturer, to somebody who sent him, please don't give me money, buy me chocolate. That's creative thinking. So creative thinking focuses on exploring ideas, generating possibilities, looking for many right answers rather than just one solving a problem. For example, now you want to travel to Abuja, and what will come to your mind first is you're going through Kaduna, and that's critical thinking. You're going through Kaduna. But creative thinker could say, okay, if I can decide to go through Kafanchan, Axis, or through Jos, and then I bust through Kefi, and the rest of it. He might be looking at two ways, and that's creative thinking, for example. So both of these kinds of thinking are vital to a successful working life of an entrepreneur. So it's very important for an entrepreneur to play these two thinking. So creative thinking is very important. When there's a problem, you always ask so many questions, so many reasons why things are happening the way they are. And then there are so many solutions. It's not a linear relationship. It's not one straight. Okay, bandit on the road, police on the road. You think that's critical thinking. Go with gun. But a creative thinker could say, okay, bandits on the road. Let's use locals, villages. Let's use drone to supervise them. Let's use so many options. People should be, let's use rail lines to divert road, and the rest of all these are creative thinking, finding many solutions, many answers to instead of sticking to one solution. Both of these kinds of thinking are vital to successful working life. So whatever you want to do in this world, some people will tell you don't do it. For example, now you initiated a new idea and you want to start, and somebody will tell you, oh, this is not going to work outrightly. It will tell you it can't work, it cannot be done, you can't do it, oh, there's nothing I can do. So by the time you have this tendency in your mind, it will block you from doing certain things. Especially you want to start business and people will tell you, Kai, people will not buy, nobody's going to buy this product. Even if you do it, ABCD, Mr. ABCD has done it before and he has failed. All those type of discouragement, people can discourage you in order not to venture into any business. And you bring in an idea, but I'm not creative. And when the opportunity comes, somebody asks you to do something, I cannot do it. Even yourself sometimes. So this is fear. So because of fear, you cannot do anything in this world. And once you're afraid of it, you will never try it. So I cannot do, or there's nothing I can do. There's always something to do. There is always something to do when it comes to entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurs have to start thinking and start to find a way to beat this negative attitude that block creativity. That's childish. You want to invent a new machine or robot in your community, and people will say this is childish. This is very wrong. What would people think? I might fail. ABCD did not make it. Who am I? All these people can block you. And there's always people who are looking for negative things from you. And some people, majority of those people with this type of attitude, whenever there's an idea, the first thing that will come to their mind, this idea is likely to fail. So they will always start with but don't you think, don't but it. Once you begin to but it or doubt the process, then it will never come to life. So those fear, you have to conquer it. So just imagine when you are kids and you go to toilet, and if you watch a horror movie, for example, after the movie and they ask you to go to the toilet, what comes to your mind is that you're going to see the spirit inside the toilet. So those fears will not allow you to try anything serious, because and that fear, and when you go to that toilet, you're going to see the spirit, because that's what you precondition in your mind that you're going to see. So once you precondition that you're going to fail, you will fail, because you will never put any effort to be successful. You're already demotivated. You already denied the energy to proceed and pursue an idea. And people can tell you, can laugh at you, people can call you names, people can tell you that you failed. Some people celebrate your failure. So those type of people, they will always tell you it is not going to work. Or they are jealous, or somewhat they are angry because you are successful. And they will always tell you that it's not going to work. So creative method, evolution, incremental, evolution of something. This is an idea, and then over time you increasing the idea. For example, we've seen cars that are using gasoline from time, and now cars are moving into hybrid, and cars are moving into solar energy. And I heard that now cars are moving into, they're using steam engine. They boil the water, and the steam will be generating energy that will move the car, accelerate the car. So synthesis is a combination of two or more ideas, putting together two ideas and make it one. Synthesizing. Now you have a car and that uses gasoline, and now you try to put a gas cylinder in the boot, so that once you start the car, instead of using the gasoline, you can switch to the gas cylinder, which is like just like a cooking gas, and then give energy, accelerate the car, ignite and accelerate the car. Revolution, changing status quo. Revolution means starting, abandoning all ideas and taking all over again. So reapplication is using old idea in a new way. Using old idea in a new way. What about changing direction, shifting attention from one angle of a problem to another? So creative people are in some cases problem solvers.